All right, welcome everybody. Appreciate you taking the time to take a look at what we're doing here. It's me and Carmen, and we're announcing Anarchapulco Experience. Just to give you a quick introduction to what we're going to be doing, this is like a little webinar. We're going to be trying to do these at least once a week, maybe more, depending on what information comes out. But essentially, this is something about Anarchapulco that we're going to add that I think is going to be extremely awesome, and that is creating an experience that you'll never forget. And if you come down for Anarchapulco, you come down for the Anarchapulco experience, uh, you're going to have a memory that will last for the rest of your life. Because we're going to do something that's really special and unique, and add to what is already legendary on Acapulco. We're going to add something that's really uh, top notch, and that is really kind of the anarchist experience. And so we've got, we're going to try and keep this to about 20, 30 minutes. It'll be the first introduction to this whole idea and what it's about. And then from there, we'll just refer to the next one, which, like I said, will probably be once a week, and then maybe more, depending on who joins us and all that kind of stuff. So with that said, I want to get right off the get off the bat and do something that I know a lot of people are kind of wondering about, and that is the fact that we've got a lot of open conflict between the state of anarchy and Mark Passio in regard to a little bit of a financial issue. And I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on this thing because I know there's probably some people that are wondering why would I work with Carmen and Sonny after they've done these evil things to Mark Passio. And you know what I am going to say in regard to that is I reserve judgment on people until I actually get the information about what's going on. And when I heard and when I saw Mark's release on information, I went directly to Carmen and Sonny and asked them, what the hell is going on here? And can you explain this situation? And so I got their explanation. And, as far as I could get out of what they said, they made a mistake. There was mistakes made. And it's unfortunate, but that is the reality of the situation. Um, I talked to them about what they're going to do about it, and to me, that's a satisfactory. The response I got was a satisfactory response, which was, we're gonna get it done. We're gonna do it right, but we can't do it today. It's a work in progress, and that's what I would like to really kind of focus on is, everybody makes mistakes, and we've got to be a little bit more of a forgiving mindset when it comes to people that, like Carmen, for example, is an obvious asset to our community. You
I
know,
appreciate that, Mike.
we and really that's I feel the same way about Mark. He's an asset to our community, and
Yeah, likewise.
I don't want to create turmoil between two assets to our community, two things that we should be really appreciating and loving and supporting. And like, so in my feeling, this is one in which um, I'm helping you to get this situation resolved, and I hope that Mark Passio on the other side sees that as the what we want to do. We want to resolve this. We want to keep this community together. We want to grow this community. We want to demonstrate how to get through conflict, how to have an issue and resolve it in a way that is an opportunity for us to grow together and trust each other. I don't know
Exactly.
if you want to say anything about that.
No, yeah, it's actually almost a perfect case study on how anarchists would deal with things like this, without government. Like, how would you deal with discrepancies and people who, feel like they didn't get slighted or that contracts weren't honored or mistakes were made? And like, yeah, I completely agree, man. Like, ultimately, like, my dream is just to wake up and just have that check from Mark so he could just, go home happy, retract, redact whatever's got to be redacted. And like you said, everybody's an asset. Like myself, Sonny, Mark, even Pat, everybody's an asset. And to have this community like fighting over like, like
Misunderstanding.
yeah, misunderstandings and mistakes and money, especially when, there is offers being made and we're trying to resolve things. It's not conducive to this whole spiritual war that we're in, which like we can't forget about. Like that's like the important thing to me that we
Yeah.
have to focus on. And that's why we gotta like be able to work through our differences and still come together in unity, even when, some people aren't happy with how things turned out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you on that, man. And like what we're doing with the Anarchapulco experience, Anarchadelphia next year, autonomy, other things I got planned. We're trying to be, economic and generate this influence so we can help Mark. And I just want Mark to understand that. Like I feel like there's a lot of certain people think that like a subversion of our efforts is going to benefit the community, but all that's going to do is make it harder for us to pay Mark
Yeah.
and harder for us to create human freedom, which we're trying to do both of those things. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's
Yeah.
basically all I have to say.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the thing is that the time is now, man. We don't have time to goof off. I mean, the opportunity of a lifetime is here, and we can't shirk from our responsibilities to change the world. I mean, we have the opportunity. We've got the venue. We know the people that can make a difference. We just got to help each other, actually make that happen.
We got to come
And this
together.
is, yeah, yeah, we've got to build this community. We've got to build trust. We've got to understand how to have healthy conflict. All these things that are valuable to being an adult and being the best person that we can be is is things that really is what the Anarchapulco experience is about. And
Exactly.
so let's kind of hit on essentially the first thing that comes to mind when I think about Anarchapulco is the experience that I have every year when it comes to connecting with people that I see eye to eye with and understand and have a similarity or so much common ground with when it comes to my principles and values that it makes such a incredible impact on me each year. But what about you? What's your experience been coming to Anarchapulco? The best thing about it?
You nailed it. That part is the best part. Like, and that's saying something when you consider that you're in a tropical paradise at a 5-star hotel. You know what I mean? Like the fact that like on top, like with all that included, the best part is the human connection that you feel down there with these people who come from like alien worlds. Some of these people that come from countries that you can't even imagine the culture there, but you have a camaraderie with them because there's this humanity to it all that that is like the foundation of why you're there and what you believe in and how you act in the world. And that is exhilarating to people like us who lack that a lot in our communities. Like I'm over here in Philly, which there's a lot of awesome stuff going on in Philly, but it's not like Acapulco. I'll tell you that. There's definitely a
Yeah,
lot more leftist communists and also like crazy like trumpet dumps, the whole Hegelian dialectic. It's all here,
yeah,
so it's nice to be able to really go and connect with people. And it's ironic because my first actual memory from an Acapulco 2019 of this past year was, after what was a hectic transportation. I mean, my bags were like all screwed up and, flights were canceled, like the whole story, I mean, TSA bullshit. So I finally barely make it to Acapulco and I get picked up by your driver and my sister and get chauffeured directly from the airport to your house where
nice.
I meet you for the
Yeah,
first
I'm
time.
glad
Yeah.
to have that. Got you that experience.
It was awesome. It was like total 180, total 180. I'm like, whoa, what the hell is this? This is crazy. I'm in absolute paradise. I'm like, is this like, it's almost like fantasy, just like to take it all in, at least visually. And then, I see you give you said a really cool sentiment about Kenny Palantano is like one of the dopest guys I met down there. And again, it all goes back to human connection. And I just remember, I went up and started talking to you. And then me and you hit it off like that. Me and you were like talking for like a half hour. I'm like, I did not think I was going to just sit here and just literally yap in this guy's face for like almost an hour. But I'm having the time of my life right now, And
Yeah.
it's like there's no barriers. It doesn't matter country, age, race, gender, any of that shit. There's like none of that exists down there. And it's all about, coming together and connecting. You know what I mean? That's what
Absolutely.
will facilitate actual practical anarchy is human connection based, ways of being in the world. So that's why
Yeah.
I love Anarchapulco and what we're doing with the Anarchapulco experience. We're trying to really get at that. That's the fundamental, I think, of what we're trying to bring to this whole gathering that seems to be happening every year.
Yeah. So with the Anarchapulco experience, and we're talking about 3 days prior to the official Anarchapulco opening, and the 3 days after the official Anarchapulco 10-day segment.
Those dates are February 7th, 8th, and 9th. So that's the weekend before Anarchapulco. The beginning events of Anarchapulco begin on February the 10th. That's a Monday, and run the next consecutive like 8 or 9 days until the Wednesday of next week, which is the 19th of February. And then we'll pick up right after that on the 20th, which is a Thursday. And then from the 20th to the 21st to the 22nd will be our closing 3 days. This image and all of the other information that we'll be talking about today can be found on our website, thestateofanarchy.com/AEX for the Anarchapulco experience. So we'll link that below, and it's also pretty easy to remember.
Yeah, and so in that regard, I mean, one of the things that, in talking about the experience that we have, we're going to try and facilitate the ultimate experience when it comes to an event that really kind of catches you, and pulls you in, and really makes the experience, accelerates the experience, adds to it, makes it exponential. And how we're going to do that, we're gonna add a couple elements. Yeah, of course we got Jock. He's going to be vibing us every day,
Dude, that
kicking
dude's
it
the
off.
man. That dude's the man. Dude, did you see him last year running around like a maniac?
Yeah,
Dude, he's amazing. He's fucking amazing. I got so close with him by the end of that whole trip.
Man, and I'm telling you, that's one of the things that he is really doing well. And I was actually talking to some other people about, after talking to him and him telling me more about like, his methods and shit like that. I mean, he's got a method behind this. It's not just like showing up and partying. He's actually, really contemplating and thinking about, how to connect people, how to get people up, how to stir people's, feelings and get them, in the moment, being present.
Exactly.
It's freaking awesome. And then feeling that, feeling the energy and stuff, so that's really, right in line with what we're talking about.
I'm so excited for that.
Yeah. And maybe talk a little bit about your experience with Jock.
I'm pretty sure every story I'm going to tell is about a human connection moment that happened at an Acapulco. So my very first experience with this guy is I'm sitting by one of the pools at one of the night events, and there's this guy who's just got a speaker on like a dolly, and he's dragging the speaker around, and the speaker is just blasting this awesome like hype music, and this dude's dressed up with like purple, he's got like a purple suit on and crazy hair, and he's dancing and smiling, and he's got a little posse, a little crazy dancing and smiling people, and he basically like was all about facilitating human connection through music and dance and through spontaneity. It was the spontaneity of how he went about things, because there's so many people who will like plan events and like, this is a dance party, it starts at this time and ends at this time, and it just takes away from the sort of like right brain creativity that dancing and that kind of connection brings. So Jacques was literally just found marching about throughout the entire Anarchapulco conference last year with his speaker and his posse of dance phenoms, and myself and others just joined like intuitively. Like it was just obvious. You just started dancing with them. So he's coming back this year, and he's excited to do the same thing. He's going to be leading all this human connection, and he travels the world and does this in like public spaces. So like it's easy to get people to do this in an Acapulco because it's paradise. Everyone's happy. People are open-minded. But his mission is to bring this to the world. So he goes around in like train stations in like Germany and shit like that, and with his speaker and starts dancing.
Boats, he's been on ships. He's been on trains. He's got some amazing videos.
And the whole purpose behind it isn't just some like party boy routine. It's about, he understands the actual power of human connection, and how if you make that the basis of your community, whether it's an anarchist community that meets in Mexico or whether it's a community that uses a public train station in Germany, that if you can actually make that, filled with love and joy, that can enhance your life experience tremendously, and also allow you to like bring more love and light to wherever it is that you're going and the people that you're interacting with. So the ethos behind it is something I totally support. And he's just the man, dude. It's so hard not to. He's got like an infectious sort of like just jovialness about him that like I feel like I share in myself, and I love when I see it in other people. So I'm really
Yeah.
excited to have him make this like
Yeah.
super fun, man. So the verb is called vibing. That's what it's about. Just
Yeah.
spontaneously dancing with people for no other purpose other than for human connection.
To try and put a link down to his website. There is a method to his madness, and there is a mindset behind it, and it is about bringing people to the present and releasing the fear that we have when it comes to connecting with other people. That's a completely conditioned response that we need to really kind of examine why we're so afraid of connecting with other people, because it's completely conditioned.
Exactly.
It isn't a natural thing.
And
And
then we ask, why is it conditioned? Why do certain, let's say, control systems not want people forming human connection? Why is that a conditioned behavior in us? What is
yeah,
the power in that? You know what I mean? For all the
right,
people who think that everything can be done through social media, which was developed by DARPA. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's
right,
something to be said about the fact that like there's power in human connection and what that can do in its
absolutely.
transformative powers.
Yeah, yeah. So that's going to kind of lead us off, and we're going to, each night we're going to kind of get started by really kind of energizing, connecting, becoming present. Really kind of getting into ourselves and feeling comfortable with who we are and who are the people around us. And then we're going to start into our themes. So I was thinking about, the also the book King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. You
We
know
should
that.
talk about that. I love that fucking thing.
Yeah, well, in that they're saying that one of the things we're missing is the rite of passage. And so, what if we made each day like a rite of passage, essentially, for anarchists to like stimulate themselves in a particular way? And
Dude, I
I've got,
totally agree. And like, dude, like we have so many different ways to do that. Like me and Sonny, we do like, dude, I feel like martial arts is such a good like physical rite of passage. Like being in like
yeah,
that kind of situation. I totally agree with that concept, and I feel like that forges men into like, you know, like fathers and leaders. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. We're moving from the child to the adult,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And
and
that
the
fuck, dude, that book so it nailed it. It talked about not having a fractured child psyche because that's the base, but then you have to expand into that. They did that pyramid, like graphic example,
yeah,
which I thought was a
yeah,
really cool visual way to do it. And yeah, they had like
right.
the grown up pyramid.
Yeah, with the true archetypes versus the shadow archetypes, and essentially
Exactly.
the child shadow archetypes are essentially all what the celebrities and what the TV shows, all their characters and characterizations of people are the childlike shadow archetypes.
Hmm.
It's fucking crazy. And that's one of the other things that we're going to be talking that I think is going to be awesome, because these things each day is going to be a rite of passage
Hmm.
to a whole new life, in regard to kind of how you connect with the community of people around you as somebody that's participating, as well as how you know yourself and the person that you want to become, the value that you can represent to other people. These are all things that we want to bring out and bring about and connect with each other, because the more that we see value in each other, the more we're going to be able to bring value to reality, and it's going to be awesome in that regard. So we'll go through the themes specifically, but what do you got anything else on that, Carmen?
Well, yeah, I couldn't echo that sentiment more, man. It's like, and it just gets so much clearer as I get older and like, hopefully wiser, like the more I understand the importance of valuing the internal state of other humans and your own state. And that's really the primacy of what we got to focus on here. Then everything else is built off of that, not the other way around. That's how you really do it, man. And that's why I like this whole vibe and what we're trying to do here. And it's funny, me and you came to sort of these concepts through an interesting book that both of us read that neither of us knew both of us read until like a week ago, called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. I forget who the author is, but we'll have a link below for the information on that book. I recommend that book to every single person. It's about the masculine psyche, but I mean, it's so relevant in today's society with how we have such a fractured masculine psyche, and how like
Yeah,
the true masculine is the healing to that, and the healing antidote to that. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
we're trying to align these themes with the themes of the book, the archetypes of the king, the warrior, the magician, and the lover. These are the, according to the, these people who did this research, these are the core archetypes throughout history and psychology that, man exemplifies. And to have,
yeah,
there are light and dark sides of them, and man has to be conscious of all of that and find balance in it. So
yeah,
yeah, so they're going to tie into the themes that we're going to talk. So I'm really excited to get into that.
yeah. Yeah, and that book in particular is one in which he outlines the idea that in the past, in the tribals and in the councils of men, were these rites of passages where children passed through to manhood or to adulthood. And, that was not just recognized by them, but also recognized by the community of people around them. A lot of anarchists, are against kind of the idea of like age restrictions when it comes to, the distinction between adults and children. This is the perfect example of that. Why not have a rite of passage for for the community, essentially a test of their honor or commitment or courage or whatever it is, that essentially the community, embraces the child into adulthood, and essentially recognizes them as such. And this is again one of the ways that we can kind of, recognize the value of each other is through rites of passage. And so each day, I think we're gonna try and create that kind of element in which, people are encouraged to, as a community, recognize people that want to step it up, and make a commitment
Mike,
and
that's such a
demonstrate.
brilliant idea. Like I always did wonder that, because that is like a hot topic in the anarchist debate. Like how do you differentiate, like, because currently like it's like an arbitrary day when you turn 18, which is like completely ridiculous and meaningless. I know 30-year-old children, and then I know,
Yes,
dude, some of the kids I teach jujitsu with, like they would blow your mind with like some of the things they say. Like the level of intelligence and wisdom in like this like small child is mind blowing, and anyone
right,
can see it at any age. So yeah, so it's almost like if you give them the option to like, okay, you want to be treated as adult, you know what I mean? You want to be looked at as adult, whether that's in a career sense, whether that's in a work sense, whether that's in a sexual sense, you prove it by your rite of passage. Do you know what I mean? Like
right,
take this on willingly and show that you have the faculty to deal with the dark side of being an adult and the light side and be able to balance all of that. And like,
right,
yeah, those rite of passages, you're seeing that pop up a lot more. There's a lot of like sort of like, like strength camps or like camps for men where they do things like that, like a lot of Greco-Roman wrestling or things like that, just rite of passage kind of things to sort of like burst you into that. Like I want to call it spiritual maturity. That's what it seems
yeah,
like to me. And yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's
Well,
how
it's
you solve that problem collectively as a society, is by having these sort of rites of passage, not just,
yeah,
when your driver's license date is 18 years old, you're
yeah,
suddenly,
yeah. Well, what's the age limit on a black belt? Can a 6-year-old get a black belt? Well, if he can hold his weight, if he can do what needs to be
yeah, if
done.
he's winning worlds, man, what are you going to do? You know what I mean?
I'd love to see that, by the way.
Yeah,
But
same. I'm looking for. I got a couple prospects, man. I'm telling you, I got a couple like
awesome,
7-year-olds, dude.
awesome,
Yeah.
awesome.
So I'm glad that we're doing that too. That's going to make it more exciting and more interactive again, because like the fact that these people can come in saying, all right, I'm going to go on a, like, somewhat of a miniature journey here. You know what I mean? Like a sabbatical, if you will. This isn't just like, sit down and watch somebody talk for an hour and then, go home. Like this is like
Yeah,
interactive, sort of like rites of passage
yeah,
stuff that, again, these skills and these strengths that people build, they can take out into their lives and see their communities with it.
right. Yeah, and we're going to be doing it together, so they're going to be able to interact that with other people's experience, and really kind of collectively have a significant moment in their life in which they really can, embed and anchor what is good in the world, and then we can spread that. So it's going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about these themes. So the first one, actually, we're going to have like the first day is kind of going to be the welcome and introduction, and just kind of loving on each other and making sure everybody's meeting and greeting, and we're connecting and so forth. And of course, that's the first day. And so for people that are, you're going to have to come early, of course, but for people that come early, they're gonna get that first connection and the first introduction and kind of the first outline of what we have in mind, because we're just going to keep adding to this thing, because every day it's going to be exponentially better, because more and more people are going to participate, and in kind of planning the next day of what we're going to do, and what how it's all going to happen. And let me tell you, it's going to be fun, because we're going to add all kinds of different elements to this thing. And I don't even know if I know all of them at this point, but
That's what
it's going to be a
happens,
lot.
man. That's what happens down there. Like last year that happened. We were staying at this beautiful house in Bonfil, and we decided to get a couple weeks before and a couple weeks after the conference. And like we after the conference, literally the people were just still there. And there was like, well, what's everybody doing? So we had like a little mini 1 day thing there, and it literally, I mean, the idea was incepted while we were all down there. It wasn't like pre-planned at all. So all of the stuff kind of just came in. Like they were like, somebody can do like a hacking thing, somebody can do this thing, and then they were like, yo, you do jiu-jitsu, right? And I was like, yeah, I just won this like crazy tournament, I'm pretty good. And they're like, yo, can you do a seminar? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So like then we randomly had like a jiu-jitsu seminar, and we were like wrestling each other in the backyard. So yeah, like that's what I love about Anarchapulco is we already have like our ideas going into it, but the real magic is when you get there and then everything synergizes and you let that sort of natural flow happen. Like an idea comes and everybody just is like, that's it, let's do it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's like, here's
yeah,
our framework, but like it's open, it's malleable. Do you know what I mean? Like we're not here to put you in a box or to like structure you into oblivion. We're here to give you an experience that's going to help you grow, whatever that is. You know what I mean? And your input is just as valuable as our input to it.
absolutely. Yeah, and there's just, and you run into so many people that have so many different experiences, and I mean, it just blows your mind, what kind of people you can connect with in that short period of time. But again, that's one of the things is and why I encourage people to come early and stay late, is because a lot of that stuff happens not during the conference, which was like everything is happening. There's
Yeah, it's
just
like
so many
helter
things
skelter.
going on, and then afterwards you kind of like start to get back down to a normal gear level where you can kind of really start to think about what is actually happening and what is important, and what kind of things are you interested in, all those kind of things. That's kind of what the Anarchapulco experience is going to provide, is an accelerated version of that to some degree, to kind of get people revved up for this thing, and then in the right mindset, and creating the right environment in which we're helping each other really have the best time that we possibly can, as well as learn.
Exactly. Yeah, because yeah, people after the conference, like there's a lot going on. Usually you're spending all day either walking, sitting, and doing stuff. So it's nice to have these sort of like front end events that are going to be way more open, like a lot more open with time, a lot more just and open with space too. I mean, people are going to be moving about. You know what I mean? It's going to be a lot more like you said, laissez-faire and like leisurely. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, beneficial and transformative. So it's going to be
Yeah,
really fun. I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, yeah. And we're just doing an evening event, or or late afternoon event, and the rest of the day is yours to take in Acapulco. We're also gonna do something in which I'm hoping to get done, but essentially creating the VIP ticket, essentially as a kind of VIP ticket to Acapulco, where a lot of the local businesses and stuff, you just show them that you've been a part of the Anarchapulco experience, and you're going to have a little extra VIP treatment, whether it be a discount or just better treatment, or um,
Yeah, we have a lot of
you know,
people who live down there now who are really involved with the locals since, they live there year round. So they interact with them commercially and otherwise. And they've been getting them
yeah,
involved with crypto. They've been like, look, this is like an alternative way to, especially in Mexico, because like people don't get it. Like in America, they're just like, oh, just use a card. But in places like Mexico and in countries like this, like banking and finance isn't so like laid out and easy to access for people. So to give them a way to transact that's safe, secure, and essentially fungible and non-trustable, and then have all these people like us with all this crypto that like, you know, has been steadily rising in value every year. It's just like, it's really attractive to them, and it's cool. And it's cool to integrate that. And like you said, this VIP card will allow people to like, you know, we do an experience for the day, whether it's, you know, warrior training, or whether it's, you know, magician training, or whether it's, you know, having fun with Jock and doing like a spontaneous dance party, or whether it's sharing stories on the beach. And then you have your whole day, but you also have your VIP card. So it's like, we'll have a list of places that, you know, they honor like certain discounts, or, you know, maybe provide you with some extra service, or, you know, a cool like bonus product. And then you can do all that stuff and like really enjoy your time down there, man. Cause that's the best part, like connecting with people, swimming in the ocean, having great conversation. That's how, that's why I love it.
Connecting with nature. I mean, that's, you know, there's just so many different things that Acapulco presents as far as another kind of human experience, you know, and then the people themselves, you know, the people of Acapulco are, you know, tremendously uplifting in a lot of different ways. You know, the idea of the family ethic, and, you know, even though this is a tourist town, it is one in which, you know, their arms are wide open to people that, you know, that treat them well.
It's
you know,
so
I mean,
true.
there's I mean, one of the reasons that you know, I think the Hollywood celebrities came to Acapulco was because, you know, they got treated well, and they became legends, and they're still legends today in Acapulco. You know, you still see people talking about people from the 50s, 1950s. That's 70 years ago that, you know, the people showed up down here and started treating people well, and lo and behold, they're still legends. You know, and that's another thing that I think you know, the anarchists can offer is, you treat people well around here, you're going to be rewarded, you know, and you're going to be remembered, and you're going to be part of the family forever. You know, and that's
So
that's
true.
another awesome thing about this place, and that's certainly something that I want to introduce to people that come down a little bit early and stay a little bit late, because it's going to be awesome. You know, and you're probably going to be thinking, why in the hell would I ever leave this place? But if that's the case, I can talk to you about that too.
Mike, every year that goes by, like, it's so funny. Like, you know, I have some family in Philadelphia and stuff, like, especially like my mom and dad, you know, who live fairly close to me, and, you know, they're a little bit older now, but dude, I just know that, like, ultimately, like, I'm an islander, bro. And like, if there's one island that I really could see myself living in forever, it would be Acapulco, dude. That is the spot. I mean, I get it's not an island, you know what I mean, but like a tropical area, that's the spot, dude. Like, on top of, like, I'm like a hippie in the weird way. Like, I'm like, there are a lot of like nature hippies who like forests, and I love mountains, and I love being from Pennsylvania and all the beautiful mountains we have in Pennsylvania. But there's just something about roasting on a beach in nothing but in shorts, and then taking a dip in the ocean that just calls to my soul on a whole nother level. And that's, Acapulco has that. It has the sun, it has the warmth, it has the food there. Oh my God, dude. I'm like a very raw eater. And when you're up north in the wintertime, it's very hard to get like quality raw food. And even if you do, you don't get enough sunlight to complement it anyway. So to have like a year-round tropical paradise with all the avocados and mangoes that I could ever want is just like, as I get older, man, it's just like, that's where I got to be. So I'm going to max out my training at the gym that I'm at. I'm going to literally learn everything they have to teach me, and then I'll just go like to Acapulco and start an MMA gym there.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I do have. There's a couple foods that I absolutely love that you know, that I never loved before I got to Acapulco. And I
Some
just
of them you don't even know
absolutely,
exist. Some of the fruits that are down there that are amazing, like soursop, that you don't even know that shit exists. And then you're like,
yeah,
where has this been all my life?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, these are like on trees that are growing like next to the house and you're living in. You know, and you're like, what? That's a
Yeah,
fruit?
yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God, this thing tastes like, you
Ecstasy. People are like,
know,
food doesn't
heaven.
grow on, people are like, food doesn't grow on trees. I'm like, you sure?
Exactly. Watch out, one's about to hit you in the head.
Coconuts everywhere. Yeah, like, oh my gosh, the availability and the economic availability as well of coconuts down there is mind blowing. Like,
Yeah,
like a couple pesos, which is like a couple cents in US dollars. And if you have
yeah,
like if you have like a Bitcoin, you know what I mean? You can retire in Mexico off of a Bitcoin almost, even with the prices it's at now. You know, it's crazy.
yeah.
But
no
yeah,
doubt.
so
Yeah.
so yeah, that's another great thing about it, and it's cheap because of the fact that the land down there is so gracious. You know what I mean? Like places like Iceland, places like Canada, places like Japan, those places are a little bit more expensive because of all the extra work that it takes to facilitate a civilization there. You know what I mean? Whereas in
Yeah.
Mexico, like there's just glorious shit everywhere. Like you don't have to protect yourself from the weather. You don't have to protect yourself from the lack of food. There's not really many like wild animals. Like, do you get attacked by anything in Acapulco? Like, are there any?
Yeah, I think there might be a jaguar running around in the mountains somewhere, but other than that, it's pretty much, pretty friendly environment. We got a lot of butterflies and parrots and,
Yeah, like awesome
chocolates and
animals,
yeah, yeah.
stuff like that.
One thing another thing I love about Acapulco is kind of the connection to nature. It is
Yes,
a city, but it's like nature just is is all around you.
it engulfs it.
You can
Nature,
never run away from nature in Acapulco.
it engulfs it. Whether it's the trees, whether it's the air, whether it's the fucking ocean, that literally like is straight up like quite literally engulfing the coast of
Yeah,
Acapulco, and I just can't
absolutely.
get enough of it, man. So I'm
All
excited to
right, so
be.
let's get on to these themes because I know we're running a little bit long here. So trust is one of the themes, and we're talking. These themes are actually about building community and some of the essentials that we need to build community. Certainly, one of them is trust. The second is healthy conflict, and we're also going to tie that in with the warrior archetype, as being something that anarchists absolutely need as something of value. And again, talking about rite of passage, we're going to go through something we call the Anarchist Fight Club. And I ain't gonna, we won't get into it on this webinar. We'll do it on the next one. But I'm telling you, you're going to love this idea. Anarchist Fight Club is going to be awesome. Hopefully, we'll have some really interesting contestants. But it's going to be fun.
I
The
know.
third one is commitment, and we're going to tie that with the archetype of love, uh, and um, how important it is to have commitment within a community. Certainly, something that in the regular society, it's something that I don't know if people ever really kind of understand what that is. What is the president's commitment to the Republican Party? What is his commitment to the American people?
Exactly. Yeah. What about his commitment to the lover within himself and within everyone else?
Yeah.
Why
What
is that
does
so
he actually
shunned?
love? Why is he such a fucking son of a bitch? And why is it every single one of them are the same way? Obviously, love is not a center of their existence. All right. The fourth one is accountability, and that's kind of connected with the king archetype.
Mm-hmm. Taking
And
responsibility for things and being able to
yeah,
provide for and take the hits for your community, whether that's your family, that could be you and your cat, that could be you and your kids, that could be you and your cousins and uncles and aunts, that could be you and your entire community of Acapulco, freedom mind
yeah.
people.
Yeah, so each of these days, essentially, it's gonna revolve around that. But we're gonna be going. Well, let me get to the last one. So the last one is win-win results, and that is the archetype of the magician. And I don't know, you want to say something about magician
Yeah. Now that you
magic?
name them all, I would love to tie all of the themes in. So trust is universal. I would say that's almost like the fifth element. That's kind of like the glue that binds all these together. And I would like to point out that that's pretty much the entirety of why you and I work together, because we have trust together. I mean, obviously there are people who, are, in your ear telling you, you know, that things aren't on the up and up or whatever, but you're taking the community as your foundation. You're saying, listen, how do I feel internally? I'm going to trust this person because they haven't done anything to me yet, and because they in my heart of hearts something's telling me to trust them. And that seems so illogical to people, but in reality it's literally the foundation of everything. And this goes for like romantic relationships as well. As like a small aside, people are like, you have to earn my trust. When people say that, it drives me absolutely crazy. I absolutely give the person that I'm choosing to engage with romantically 100% of my trust. I don't care what, like, quote unquote, like red flags, like until you actually do something, like you
Yeah,
have I trust you completely with my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, and then this ties into the other archetypes. See, this is all part of that 4-pillared archetype, because as like somebody who is a warrior, you're prepared to deal with if somebody, you know, slights you or betrays your trust. But until then, you love them and you give it to them. That's part of being the lover. So so to get into the actual themes, we have the trust, which is universal. And then, you know, I started talking about healthy conflict, the warrior. So a lot of people are like, why do you do martial arts? You punch your friends. What the hell's wrong with you? And like, what they don't understand is that this is an examination of the human spirit and psyche. Okay. Everybody has an infinite light within them and an infinite darkness within them. And you exist somewhere on that spectrum, depending on how conscious you are of both of those things. And the idea is to be fully conscious of all of it so that you can remain balanced. And then so you act from a place of consciousness. And so that neither of these energies come up through the back door. So learning how to deal with conflict in a healthy manner, that is, you know, not kicking and screaming, not resorting to violence off the bat, but also not being like a pushover, not letting somebody, you know, control you or manipulate you, whether that's physically or otherwise. There's learning how to strike that balance is all part of becoming the warrior. And I feel like dealing with conflict in a healthy manner exemplifies that archetype, which, you know, we're trying to we're trying to show that to the community. And we're trying to, if everybody can nail that, like if we're all good at this, we can we wouldn't have these situations that we're seeming to have in all of the anarchist. I mean, every anarchist conference has like the dirty laundry of all the haters. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's a shame. And this is the dark warrior, the unrealized darkness of the warrior archetype that we're trying to transition to the light. So then getting into commitment, which is the lover. So now we have a commitment to our community. So like, even if we are wronged by our community, like we still like love them, you know, and we try to find out like, why are they doing this? Like, what is the impetus behind this anger, this outrage, and what can we do to heal it rather than destroy it? You know what I mean? Like, right. It doesn't always have to be a destructive force or an antagonistic force. There are ways to transmute things through love. And like, I feel like being committed to something unconditionally teaches you that. And again, like you can liken that to a romantic relationship, a business relationship, or even a friendship. And then you have taking accountability for things, which the king archetype, a lot of people like initially be like, what, monarchy? What, are you crazy? You know what I mean? But the actual concept of the king, like the true, like somebody like, all right, King Leonidas, for example, would be a good archetype of this. He was a quote unquote king, but like he was like, at least as far as the movie 300 portrayed him, he went to battle. He was in the front lines. He took 300 of his men. He left the army at home, and he was willing to stand there and die for what he believed in was good for his country and his community. And that, you know, he took accountability for it with his life. You know what I mean? And that is like the fully realized king. Whereas like the dark king would be like your Donald Trump, you know, Bill Clinton. I do not have sexual relations with that woman. You know what I mean? Like that's right. Garbage.
Yeah, those are the shadow archetypes, and that's exactly another thing, that bringing this awareness to the community essentially outs a lot of those archetypes that people are embodying in their behavior. And essentially other, you know, when we have awareness, we can see that kind of stuff. We can see the childlike shadow archetypes being, being actually employed in people's daily lives. And unfortunately, if you're following celebrities or the politicians or stuff like that, these are embodiments of the childlike shadow archetype, which, you know, hasn't grown up, hasn't taken on the adult responsibilities, you know, and never will.
Exactly.
But that's what we want to do as anarchists. We want to raise the bar. We want to raise the bar as far as awareness, as well as, you know, the culture of civilization. You know, we want to bring it up to a higher state of consciousness instead of like leaving it in the dump, in the lower state of consciousness where everybody's fearful and afraid and ashamed to actually be who they are, you know.
Exactly. And that's the last archetype, is the magician archetype, to be able to shape that, what is an idea, that concept of curing that, you know, ailment, which again, these images of these dark archetypes are put in front of us for a reason. They want us acting like this because the antidote to the ails of civilization is us acting the opposite way, is us acting aligned with the true conscious versions of these archetypes. And the conscious version of the magician would be the example that we're talking about, with creating like win-win situations. So for example, you know, like when people are exploited in economic situations, that's not a win-win situation, and that's not a healthy, you know, use of of your magician powers, whether that's economic, magistry, or whether that's technological magistry. And usually it's a combination of both. I mean, we're doing everything through computers right now, so like there's a lot of like, crafting and alchemy that goes into this, that in order to do it the right way, you have to make sure that you're not harming another body. And that's very hard to do in today's society, but there are ways to do it. And the idea is the fully realized magician is just that, a magician, and will find a way. And like somebody like Tesla would be a good example of somebody who really nailed that archetype. Look into that guy if you're curious about the magician archetype. So those are the themes and the archetypes and how they tie together. And we want to, like I said, the point of this is to facilitate that in as many people as we can. All the people that join us, all the people that watch the media and film from thereafter, and to seed this, just like like we're pollinating a field with like flowers of this sort of strength and this love.
Yeah, really raising the bar for civilization. So we talked about the themes. We're going to have a bunch of different activities. I don't know exactly what they're going to be. I really want to kind of create the environment in which it's a collaborative effort on a daily basis to essentially bring about the most that we can get out of an experience each and every day. And so these events are going to be one in which we're building each time, to the next one. And so those people that want to participate, those people that understand the theme, those people that want to collaborate and do things together for other people, or do things that are cool or have an awesome idea, we want to incorporate all that kind of stuff into each and every day and just kind of build this every day. And if people have to leave, well, then, they'll have to leave and other people will have to jump in and so forth. But however it goes, each day is going to be its own unique experience and rite of passage to something even more awesome on the other end of it.
Mm-hmm. And we invite people, if you have a gift and you have something that you can contribute, we'd love to involve you. Like, as far as like, there's always going to be one main thing for the day, but I can see so many ancillary things popping up at the facilities we're going to have access to. Like, I know I'm going to be doing kickboxing and jiu-jitsu lessons every day for people who are interested. And I know there's like, people who are interested in yoga. Like, I can teach yoga, but I'm sure there's somebody who's like really good at it who would love to come and do like awesome yoga stuff, breath work people, even like, sort of like holistic nutrition, cooking classes, stuff like that. If you have a gift, if you have anything to offer, reach out to us. You can email tsoa@thestateofanarchy.com. You can hit us up on YouTube. I don't care. Just,
As a matter of fact, we got a Discord for
let's plug that. That's a good idea.
Experience. I don't know exactly how to get there.
It's right? Like discord.gg. It'll be down below. Those links are always shortened, but yeah, we actually have a group, so you can come chat with us and talk about it. And if you have ideas, and you're going to be around, come talk.
We'll try and kind of schedule some activities on that, or at least meet and greets or something where people can talk about what's going on, and then we'll go from there. I don't know exactly what that will be, but talking about the locations that we're going to be doing these events. So we're going to do things around Acapulco. Not exactly sure on where exactly these locations are. We know that we're going to do a couple days on the beach. We're probably going to have some particular unique spots in Acapulco that will blow people's minds. And more than likely, we'll have a couple parties or two somewhere along the way as well. But we kind of keep, as far as locations, it's going to be around Acapulco and very unique. We're going to try and involve the locals. So a lot, like we talked about with the kind of the VIP card, the ticket serving as kind of a VIP card. To some degree, that's going to give you the opportunity to kind of connect with some of the local businesses and so forth. But there again is an opportunity in which we're going to try and also offer the connection with the local people to kind of create the atmosphere of really being able to understand who the people of Acapulco are and what are the benefits of this place, because they are immense. Essentially, we're throwing out a call to action. So anybody that this idea speaks to, anybody that feels like they could add or contribute to this, feel free to connect with us. Again, we've got the Discord channel. Get on that, or send us an email, State of Anarchy, or myself, Mike.Nimetz@gmail.com. send me an email or connect me on Facebook or whatever. However you can get a hold of me or get a hold of one of us,
You can
we'll be
also email
happy to
TS.
hear
Yeah,
you out.
you can also email tsoa@thestateofanarchy.com. So any of those channels, just reach out.
But what are some things that we need in regard to some help or things that could possibly be helpful to us in regard to getting this thing pulled off?
So yeah, I guess like the main areas that we could use a hand in for the actual event. If you're going to be in an Acapulco and you're good with a camera, that would be awesome. We're gonna have cameras. We're gonna be bringing equipment and stuff, but we're also going to be like actively, participating in the show. Like we're gonna be being on camera as well. So it's tremendously difficult to be on camera and also film yourself at the same time. so I mean, I can do it, but it would be awesome if we had somebody who's good with DSLRs and stuff and wants to come do some video stuff. We usually handle most of the editing internally. It would just be helping us capture things. Anybody who actually enjoys and is good at being a social media person, like somebody who enjoys being on the daily, enjoys interacting with people. Because for Anarchadelphia, we had some social media people who were awesome and some social media people who didn't enjoy it, and then so that was reflected in their thing. So if you're like a bubbly person like myself, or a good friend of mine, Mackenzie Wolf, who just is like a happy person, and loves interacting with people and loves the message and is passionate, that would be a perfect thing to get involved in. A lot of it would be just mirroring things too, because I'm basically I'm kind of like a one platform guy. I like YouTube the best, even though it's all controlled. It's all shit. But
Yeah,
I want my dream platform would be a rather long format video platform that's like akin to YouTube, but not controlled. Yeah. So that's where I like to be. But obviously people are all over the place, and somebody who's really into social media and likes being on multiple platforms and doing crossover stuff, that would be useful as well for us. So yeah, so if you're good with a camera, or you like typing and interacting with people on your phone and stuff, those are like the two things and that I can foresee. But I'm sure there's things that other people are thinking about that we haven't even thought of yet. So if you have a good idea and you just want to see if you can help out and become part of it with us, reach out. TSOA@thestateofanarchy.com.
Yeah, yeah, and so another element of this is we're trying to do this as economically as possible. We know that people are in a lot of cases strapped for cash, and certainly this is an expensive ordeal to get down to Acapulco and then pay for a hotel, and just the Acapulco event itself is a bit pricey. So this could be for some people an option of like a low cost alternative for some, or for others just an additional extra that that we don't want to really ask for too much in regard to just putting this on. But it's essentially we're just asking people to chip in a certain amount, and if you can chip in a little bit more, awesome. But we're going to try and put together the best event that we can with as little cost associated with it as possible. But one ticket will essentially get you into 6 different events, and then kind of a connection with all kinds of other things. But that what we're doing is, as far as that is we're asking for a $99 donation to the cause, and for that you'll get a ticket to the 6 events. Depending on how that works out, we might have some additional tickets that are sold each night if they're available. Otherwise, it's a limited seating kind of situation. There's only going to be 200 tickets out there. And so you're really, if you get one of those, you're probably going to have the Willy Wonka golden ticket kind of thing going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, I don't know. What do you want to add anything to that?
No, we just think, we definitely wanted to do a low cost event. Anarchadelphia was a little expensive because it was our first year, and Anarchapulco was expensive as well, which is fine. It's just about transferring energy. We're all feeding these good causes, but again, something super low cost that's super fun and organic is also a really attractive thing for a lot of people, including myself. So I'm excited for it as well. It's basically pay what you want with a minimum asking price of $99. So you can, depending on what you have to give, just pay what you can. You know what I mean? Whatever you feel able to contribute.
Just kick in for the big party, man. That's
we're gonna have
what it comes down to.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be I love this positive fun. It's fun, but you grow and you connect, and there's all this good that comes from it. So you feel good about the fun that you're having. It's not like that naughty fun where you're It's like your
Yeah.
eighth line of Coke and you're like, oh, this is fun, but I'm going to die. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Like that fun is
Yeah.
shallow and that doesn't last long for anyone.
Right.
So like that's another reason why I like this kind of stuff. So if you want to join the party, you can get all the information and you can also, secure your spot by visiting thestateofanarchy.com/AEX. Super easy.
AEX.
An
Okay.
Acapulco experience abbreviation. Kind of sounds like a conference too. That sounds like a badass like video game tournament conference, like AEX 2020. You know what I mean?
Amen. Amen. And that's another thing is this is just the vision of the future. What we want to do is be able to kind of grow this thing a lot bigger, and really kind of turn this thing into what I'm calling the World's Fair 2025, where we invite 100,000 plus voluntarians to Acapulco, and we make it a couple month long event where people are connecting from all over the world and bringing all kinds of anarchist and voluntarist technologies from their experience wherever they're at, and showing it to the rest of the people that are following a similar mindset. I think it's an awesome idea, and this is just kind of the mini version of the seed of this thing that we launched this particular year. And each year following, we're just going to grow this thing, grow this thing.
Dude, I love it.
So,
I'm so excited. I can't wait. Like we have so much fun things planned. And you're right. The reason for it is because it has to be done. I feel like that's for every conference, an Acapulco as well, and even in Arkadelphia. Like there is a financial element to it, but there's just a financial element to anything that you do in this world. Do you know what I mean? Like activism is no different than anything else like that. And this is necessary. And like you said, the human connection element is what really stimulates change, both inside of us and then that reflects out into our communities. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And we've got the chance to really touch the world. You come here, you connect with 2,000 to 3,000 people that are from everywhere on the freaking planet,
Yeah.
and then they take what you've given them in return to the rest of the world.
It's amazing, man. Yeah, I love that. I love that idea. I love the vision. The long-term vision is there. That World's Fair sounds amazing, man. Become so big that no matter how censored it gets, like you can't ignore that big of a gathering, especially with the word of mouth influence that it will then have as everybody again goes back and seeds. I love the concept of the seed too. When you said that, that's literally what I would have said as well. I'm glad
Yeah.
that you chose the terminology.
Yeah, so with that said, we're going to come to the end of this particular webinar. We've got a hell of a lot more to talk about. We've got all kinds of different ideas, certainly breaking down each of the themes, different locations around Acapulco, talking about more specifics on what we're going to do with the locals, using crypto in Acapulco, some of the creative ideas that will probably come along as we talk to other people, and who wants to participate. Each of these themes, if it resonates with you, definitely, if you've got something to add to that, uh, definitely jump in, man. We really want to, collaborate on great ideas. And just like how Jacques, I basically had a connection with him. I said, hey, would you be interested in talking about this thing? And after about 10 minutes, we were like, hell yeah, this is going to be awesome.
I can't
And
wait.
so I am looking forward to having that kind of connection with about, as many people as we can.
Same, man. It's going to be so awesome. I can't wait to laugh, dance, and just experience the love and beauty of Acapulco and all the people that go there every year.
Yeah. So we're 1 month away. It's a 1 month warning. This is your chance to reschedule your airplane flight. If you're going to come early, stay late, make it a 2 week vacation, and you can fit it all in. It'll
Yeah,
be
man.
awesome.
And like I've made February sort of like my rejuvenation month every year. Like as I've been staying longer and longer each year. Like the first time the 18 I stayed for just the conference. 19 I stayed for like 3 weeks. I actually stayed for longer than the entire stretch of all these events last year. So I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna stay for even longer this year if I can, depending on if
Awesome.
it needs me or not. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's another thing. If we can, if we can help you in different ways as far as figuring out lodging or kind of creating circumstances in which people can share places and
Yeah, like the
make it
idea
a
is
kind of a
like
low income.
Exactly. The idea is to get like, sort of like bigger compound type areas and then be able to like, ration out rooms to people. We did that last year and it worked super well because everybody's got a
Yeah.
different schedule. So if you just have one place that's kind of like always functioning and always ready to go and people can just, like rent rooms for as long as they need it, we're going to be trying to facilitate some of that as well. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are all things yet to come. We're going to try and do this on a weekly basis. Like I said, maybe more depending on big announcements and so forth. But thank you all for taking the time and really appreciate your attention and look forward to seeing you on Acapulco. Take care, everybody.
Bye, guys.